Production notes. I am recording using Audacity instead of first recording elsewhere and then importing. And I did a teeny tiny experiment, seemed okay. So I'm trying it out. I really hope that I don't find that for some reason, after talking for 30 minutes, I discover that nothing was recorded, because that kind of thing has happened multiple times. It's annoying. It doesn't seem like it should be possible, but somehow I forgot yesterday to save some audio I had recorded, so I lost it. That's annoying. Might not even be something I should talk about, but here we are. I think one thing I learned yesterday is that there's a nice benefit of getting around to the point. Of course, as I say that, I find that my mind is wandering and I'm thinking of other things to talk about. I guess all of this implies there is a point, and there is a point. Without setting my goals too high, I try to make a kind of workflow. I go out, I walk, I think, and if something comes up that's significant enough to turn into a topic or a talking upon, I try to come up with things to talk. I don't try. Trying is not the right way of saying it. My practice is to go for a walk and think about things, and if something sticks badly enough, then you'll end up talking about it later. That's kind of the summary of my thinking on things. So I do think a thing or two that's worth thinking about further, and I try to get to it sooner so as to not waste time and tease. Again, this assumes that somebody wants to hear it in the first place. But what did I learn today as I was walking? I thought about how much of my thinking is of the form of a sort of debate between the devil's advocate and the, I don't know, steel man side, sort of just as a way to pick apart things that need picking apart and things that do not need picking apart. Part of the problem is applying that technique to every situation, you know? Less like, for example, in my case, for example, I might find myself debating about whether in my case, I might debate about whether or not I said hello in a funny, awkward, or cringe kind of way. That's kind of a meme, kind of a joke. People being awkward about something that level of routine and not even worth thinking about. I'm the type to just, I don't know. I will find myself debating with myself about whether or not, it's obviously this is an extreme example. I don't like have a problem. More easily than others, I don't know. That's sort of my, I guess, kind of a core way of thinking for me. Whereas it might not be for others. I've never even wondered. I've wondered. Of course, I've wondered, but I don't know. Other than asking somewhere, how do you find out? The way people think is an interesting topic, I guess. Sure as shooting should be, but that's kind of a go-to way of thinking about things often. And I have made a habit out of it because I don't know if there is a because. Maybe that word trips me up. There is no because, I just do that. The because is not important, but what is important is that I thought today, how do I put this? I mean, I can see the obvious, but sometimes you have a habit. Sometimes you have mental tics. Despite yourself, you think a thing or think a way that's not helpful. I bet everybody ruminates. That's one universal, just that general idea. Everybody does stuff like that. There's ways of thinking. I think it was kind of a revelation to think that, now this is going to sound stupid, but they're both me, if I am busy criticizing myself for something I did or said or thought. Sometimes I don't take the time to stop and think, why are you doing this? You did nothing wrong. Forget it, move on. Leave it, leave it, leave it. Nonetheless, it does pay to stop and think, wait a minute, those are both me. How about calling a truce? When you find yourself doing that, realize that both of those parts are you, and some of these debates need not happen in the first place if we're both working on the same side. I have a number of different modes like that. I'll debate the best way of doing something using that kind of thought pattern. And I'll also criticize myself for something using that same thought pattern. But in the latter case, I kind of trip myself into doing it without realizing that I'm doing it. And I'm well down the road if I ever realize that I'm doing it. I think maybe both sides sometimes fall down from exhaustion, which is not a good way to go through life. So, if that's a bit of subconscious thinking that you do, then maybe stop to think about that fact. Because, on the one hand, it's bleeding obvious, but on the other hand, it is right destructive to do that for the wrong things at the wrong times. Defending one's self, I guess. Defending oneself to oneself as the overall self observes and gets a kick, maybe gets a kick out of watching the fight. Why do that to yourself? All three of you can get together and work things out. But it's not easy to think that way. I don't know. I don't know what the requirements are. I mean, it's a very specialized problem, I think. It's a specialized problem in the sense that every human being has a unique way of thinking. Therefore, it has to be specialized. Your fixes will not look like other fixes. And discovering that, I'm not sure if discovering is the right word, because again, I am aware that that's a bad habit if you're beating yourself up essentially. But recognizing that you're doing it at the right time might make all the difference. I feel like it can, I feel like it does. Knowing is half the battle. I suppose it all goes back to your mother or your father. I feel like I'm comfortably drifting back to a point where I can be a little bit more blasé about all the rough family stuff that I've been through all by myself for most of my life. That ain't gonna do no good. If you're still dwelling on it, then you haven't truly given up. My cat is sick. That's a damn shame. We have this very well nourished, fuzzy, fuzzball type ragdoll looking cat that is kind of a grumpy lump of cat, but knows how to receive a pet. And she likes to sleep in the litter box. There's a litter box that's less used. It's complicated, but anyway, the secondary litter box is where she sometimes would sleep. She's done that for a long time, but seems like she broke that habit. But now, because of some kind of acute problem, she is back into the habit. And I think that if I had to guess, she had that habit for a long time because of psychological cat issues. And now she's happier. And but recently, as of today, she's back in that habit because it appears to be constant. She got something going on down there. It's hard to tell what because there's no progress made. I think I'm willing to bet it's constipation. She licks her butt and looks uncomfortable and sleeps in the litter box. And anyway, I feel sad about that kitty. And I hope Kitty is okay. Sad, sick pets. Sick pets are sad and expensive. I hate the idea of going to the vet to get her cleaned out, not because I want her to suffer, but because the price for giving that cat an enema is essentially $300 or something. And I just feel like I could handle that. I think what I will do is do some research. I don't like the mechanics of it all, but gonna have to get over that if I want Kitty Cat to get better. I'm guessing that giving a cat an enema is not easy now that I think of it. Oh, poor baby. Oh, I have some so-called over-the-counter cat laxative that came from Amazon or something. I think it's 98% scam. It says, I think on the bottle it says, oh, what's that idiotic thing? What is that thing called? That pseudoscientific thing where water has the essence of frankincense and myrrh and you dilute things to make them stronger. Look it up. It's a thing. It'll come to me. Homeopathic. So it says homeopathic on the label, which to me may as well say does not work. But I'm a hardened cynic. Anyway, they certainly have stuff that works for humans. I wonder if there's technology for applying that to cats without doing anything risky, which I don't intend to do. Squeamish? Yes. I'll look it up. You're welcome. Bye for now.